This behavior points to something fundamentally different about human cognitive architecture compared to galactic norms. Most species develop specialized neural pathways for threat response that operate automatically when confronted with danger signals. Humans appear to maintain what might be called cognitive flexibility, the ability to override instinctive reactions with deliberate analytical processes. Their minds don't follow predictable threat response patterns, but rather engage in what could be described as controlled chaos, where multiple cognitive systems operate simultaneously without clear hierarchy. When the Thanok Prime Alpha directed its psychic probes toward the human cadets, it encountered mental landscapes that defied classification. Instead of finding organized fear responses or structured defensive patterns, it detected overlapping thought processes that constantly shifted and reconfigured. The Predator's sensors registered simultaneous analysis of threat assessment, biological curiosity, tactical evaluation, and even aesthetic appreciation of its physical form. This complex mental activity created a feedback loop that made the creature pause its standard assessment protocol. The Predator's confusion became visible through its changing behavior patterns. Its skin coloration shifted more rapidly than observed in previous interactions. The rhythmic movement of its 6 legs lost its usual precision, becoming slightly uneven. Even its psychic presence seemed to fluctuate as it attempted to process the unexpected mental patterns it encountered. This marked the first recorded instance of the assessment, creature showing uncertainty. During its evaluation duties, this unexpected development forced the Thanok Prime Alpha to abandon its standard 3-second scan protocol. Instead of moving on to the next cadet, it remained positioned before the humans, its attention fully focused on understanding this anomaly. The creature's sensory organs deployed additional scanning filaments that normally remain retracted during standard assessments. Its psychic emissions intensified, creating a palpable energy field that made nearby cadets instinctively step back. The Predator was clearly engaging a deeper level of analysis than it had with any other species, setting the stage for something never before witnessed in the Academy's history. The Thanok Prime Alpha lowered its massive head until its eye level matched Jake Turner's. Instead of bared teeth meant to intimidate, it presented them openly, not in threat but as an offering. Each fang, longer than a combat knife and capable of shearing through starship plating, gleamed under the courtyard lights. The creature held perfectly still, its 6 legs symmetrically braced, waiting. Throughout 2,000 years of testing, this gesture had never been recorded. Not once. Every cadet in the courtyard stopped breathing. Instructors froze at their monitoring stations, sensors forgotten. The silence became so absolute you could hear the hum of the Academy's energy shields in the distance. This wasn't part of the protocol. The Predator's behavior defied all historical data, all training scenarios, all expectations. The creature was supposed to assess and move on, not engage, not communicate, and certainly not offer its most dangerous biological weapons in what appeared to be a gesture of recognition. Jake didn't step back. He didn't raise his hands in defense or show any sign of aggression. He studied the presented fangs for a long moment, his expression thoughtful rather than frightened. Then he did something that made several observers gasp aloud. He reached out with his bare hand and gently touched the tip of the largest fang. His fingers rested against the razor-sharp edge without pressure, just making contact. The gesture wasn't challenging or submissive, it was acknowledgement. The Predator responded immediately. A deep rolling purr emerged from its chest cavity, vibrating through the courtyard stones. The sound wasn't menacing. It carried notes of approval, even satisfaction. This vocalization had never been documented during testing procedures. Historical records showed the Thanok Prime Alpha only vocalized when encountering truly exceptional individuals, and even then, only with a brief resonance. This continuous, rhythmic purring indicated a level of recognition beyond anything previously observed. This moment shattered the established predator-prey dynamic that had defined interspecies relations for millennia. The creature wasn't treating the human as potential prey or even as a subordinate being. It was engaging him as an equal, possibly even as a kindred entity. The traditional hierarchy of assessment completely inverted in that moment. Instead of the predator judging the candidate, they were participating in what appeared to be mutual recognition. The creature then repeated the gesture with the other 4 humans, lowering its head to each in turn. Each cadet responded differently but appropriately. Tara Banks placed her palm flat against the side of a fang. Marcus Webb nodded deeply while maintaining eye contact. Elena Vasquez traced the curvature of a tooth with scientific curiosity. Devon Cross simply bowed his head in reciprocal respect. Each interaction elicited the same purring approval from the predator. Following these exchanges, the Thanok Prime Alpha did something unprecedented. It marked all 5 humans with apex recognition sigils, bioluminescent patterns that glowed briefly on their uniforms before fading into the fabric. No testing cycle had ever resulted in multiple recognitions. The creature typically selected one individual per century at most. 5 acknowledgements in a single session represented a complete overturning of established patterns. This single act began rewriting galactic understanding of human potential. The assessment wasn't just about individual capability. It revealed something fundamental about human nature that existing models had completely missed. The predator's recognition suggested that humans operated on a different psychological and social frequency than other species, one that aligned with ancient, almost forgotten patterns of apex behavior. The implications would ripple through every academic department, military strategy session, and political discussion for years to come. The galaxy had consistently categorized humanity as just another mid-level species, potentially vulnerable like many others. Our profile in the galactic database listed standard physical capabilities, average cognitive processing speeds, and conventional social structures. Nobody considered humans particularly remarkable or threatening. We blended into the interstellar community as competent but unexceptional members, following established protocols and operating within expected parameters across scientific, diplomatic, and military domains. This assessment framework completely missed one critical human trait: strategic concealment. Our evolutionary history developed around appearing less capable than we actually are. Think about Earth's natural world. Predators often mimic harmless creatures to approach prey, while potentially dangerous animals frequently display warning colors only when threatened. Humans perfected this approach on a societal level. We present ourselves as cooperative generalists while maintaining specialized capabilities that remain hidden until needed. This represents a sophisticated survival strategy that galactic evaluators failed to recognize. The paradox of appearing vulnerable while possessing significant capabilities becomes humanity's defining characteristic. We operate with what might be called calculated transparency, showing enough competence to be taken seriously, but concealing our full potential until circumstances demand its revelation. This approach allows us to learn from others without triggering defensive reactions, observe systems without being perceived as threats, and integrate into structures while maintaining independent capacity for action when necessary. Previous galactic assessments operated on fundamentally flawed assumptions about how advanced species present themselves. The evaluation models expected capabilities to correlate with visible confidence, obvious physical dominance, or demonstrated technological superiority. Humans subverted these expectations by demonstrating moderate competence across multiple areas, while avoiding displays that might signal apex potential. This behavioral pattern caused observers to dramatically underestimate our actual capacity for coordinated action and problem-solving. The 5 cadets don't represent exceptional individuals who diverge from human norms. They revealed what happens when humans stop moderating their capabilities for external consumption. Their performance during the Predator assessment wasn't anomalous. It was simply humanity operating without the usual filters and constraints we impose on ourselves in interstellar interactions. They demonstrated baseline human potential when not consciously concealing our collective capabilities. This reframing suggests that every previous evaluation of humanity requires complete reconsideration. Our scientific contributions, military performance, diplomatic achievements, and even cultural exports might represent only a fraction of our actual capacity. The galactic community has been interacting with a carefully curated version of humanity, rather than observing our full capabilities. This realization forces reevaluation of every interaction, every negotiation, and every collaborative project involving humans across known space. The Academy now faces the challenge of developing entirely new assessment methodologies. Existing tools that prioritize individual performance over collaborative intelligence cannot properly evaluate capabilities that emerge only through group interaction. The human success underscores the need for evaluation frameworks that measure how beings function as coordinated units, particularly in situations where teamwork and shared problem-solving determine success. This requires rethinking everything from testing protocols to training methodologies to account for species that operate through distributed cognition rather than individual excellence. The implications extend beyond military assessment into how galactic society evaluates and utilizes different species' capabilities. If collaborative intelligence represents an undermeasured and undervalued capability, then current systems might be missing significant potential across multiple domains. The paradigm shift isn't just about understanding humans better. It's about developing tools to recognize and nurture collective capabilities in any species that demonstrates them. This recognition could transform how galactic institutions approach team composition, leadership development, and crisis response planning. How do humans coordinate their thinking in ways other species find impossible? The answer lies in how each cadet demonstrated unique approaches that perfectly complemented, rather than competed with others. They operated like specialized components in a well-designed system, each contributing distinct capabilities that integrated seamlessly into a coordinated whole. This wasn't just teamwork. It was cognitive synchronization at a level never before observed in interspecies interactions. Tara Banks maintained constant tactical awareness, analyzing terrain and timing while issuing pre-planned adjustments for the entire group. Her voice remained calm and precise as she coordinated movements, identified threats, and allocated resources in real time. She functioned as the team's central processing unit, integrating information from all sources and distributing coordinated responses without hesitation or conflict. Her commands weren't orders but synchronized updates that kept everyone operating with shared situational awareness. Marcus Webb demonstrated an unusual approach to psychological challenges. When the labyrinth generated personalized hallucinations, he engaged them in philosophical dialogue to test their reality before dismissing them with clarity. Instead of fighting the illusions or accepting them as real, he treated them as puzzles to be understood and resolved. This method allowed him to neutralize psychological threats without emotional distress, then immediately refocus on team objectives. His approach transformed potential breakdown points into opportunities for cognitive resolution. Elena Vasquez managed physiological enhancement protocols for the entire team. She deployed combat stimulants with precise timing to heighten reaction speeds and sensory perception across all 5 members simultaneously. Her interventions weren't random boosts, but carefully calculated enhancements tailored to specific challenge requirements. She monitored everyone's biometrics continuously, adjusting dosages and timing to maintain optimal performance without crossing into dangerous overstimulation. This shared physiological optimization created a temporary but powerful advantage during critical moments. Devon Cross approached nightmares as engineering puzzles rather than psychological threats. He analyzed the labyrinth's mechanisms with technical precision, identifying patterns and vulnerabilities in the simulation's programming. While others focused on direct confrontation, he worked on disabling the systems generating the threats. His solutions often involved clever workarounds that neutralized dangers without direct engagement, preserving team resources for more critical challenges. This engineering mindset turned terrifying scenarios into solvable technical problems. Jake Turner's contribution emerged during direct confrontations. He began speaking the enemy's language mid-fight, using communication as a tactical tool that disrupted opponent coordination. His linguistic skills allowed him to interpret enemy commands, anticipate movements, and even introduce confusion into their ranks. This unconventional approach turned communication into a weapon that benefited the entire team. His real-time translation and analysis provided strategic insights that normal combat assessments wouldn't typically measure or value. This multifaceted, synchronized approach represents humanity's true strategic advantage. Each cadet's specialized skills integrated into a cohesive system that operated with efficiency beyond individual capabilities. Their coordination wasn't just about sharing information. It was about creating emergent properties through perfect integration of diverse capabilities. This level of cognitive synchronization suggests that human teamwork operates on principles fundamentally different from conventional galactic models of cooperation. The humans demonstrated that their strength lies not in uniform thinking but in complementary specialization, Each mind contributed unique capabilities that, when properly coordinated, created capabilities no single individual could achieve. This approach to problem-solving, distributed expertise with perfect synchronization, may represent humanity's most significant contribution to galactic understanding of effective collaboration. Their performance suggests that true, collective intelligence emerges from diversity properly, integrated rather than uniformity enforced. The Academy leadership found themselves confronting a complete crisis of understanding, facing a situation their protocols and training never prepared them to handle. 5 cadets from a species they barely understood had achieved something unprecedented: simultaneous apex recognition from a predator that typically selected one individual per century at most. Their existing assessment frameworks offered no guidance for this scenario, triggering immediate emergency meetings and classified communications with Galactic High Command. The administration's crisis management apparatus, designed for conventional interspecies incidents, scrambled to grasp what multiple apex recognition actually meant for future power dynamics. News feeds across the galactic network began circulating reports about the unprecedented event, suggesting monumental shifts in how human capability might be understood and utilized. The story wasn't just about 5 exceptional cadets. It represented a fundamental challenge to established classification systems that had governed interspecies relations for centuries. The old paradigm of measuring solitary excellence no longer applied when assessing human potential. Their strength clearly emerged from collective action and coordinated intelligence, rather than individual achievement. Emergency. Briefings reflected what observers described as frightened awe at the implications. Director Kaff, leading the crisis response, acknowledged they had categorized humans incorrectly from the beginning. This admission signaled a profound shift in institutional understanding. The realization extended beyond these 5 cadets to reset expectations for humanity's entire species. If collaborative capability represented humanity's true strength, then previous evaluations of human potential across scientific, military, and diplomatic domains required complete reevaluation. The Academy's assessment systems faced immediate obsolescence. Tools designed to measure individual performance under stress couldn't capture the emergent properties of group cognition. The humans had demonstrated that their cognitive architecture operated fundamentally differently than documented patterns for other species. Their ability to share information, cover weaknesses, and reallocate duties in real time created capabilities that assessment computers flagged as statistical impossibilities. The systems could measure 5 separate performances but couldn't quantify how those performances interacted to create something greater. This crisis wasn't just about understanding 5 individuals, it was about developing completely new models for evaluating species that don't follow established patterns. The human's performance suggested that traditional individual assessments might completely miss a species' true potential when that potential lies in collective capability rather than individual excellence. The implications extended beyond military assessment into how galactic society evaluates and utilizes different species' capabilities across all domains. The Academy leadership recognized they must devise entirely new testing protocols to properly evaluate this unprecedented capability. Existing tools that prioritize individual performance over collaborative intelligence cannot measure capabilities that emerge only through group interaction. This requires developing evaluation frameworks that assess how beings function as coordinated units, particularly in situations where teamwork and shared problem-solving determine success. The challenge involves creating assessments that measure distributed cognition rather than solitary achievement. This paradigm shift affects more than just testing methodologies. It forces reconsideration of training approaches, team composition strategies, and leadership development programs. If collaborative intelligence represents an undervalued capability, then current systems might be missing significant potential across multiple species. The Academy's crisis management now focuses on adapting to a new reality, where human potential isn't limited by individual constraints, but amplified by collective action. Their response will shape how galactic institutions understand and utilize collaborative capabilities for generations to come. The Academy designed the ultimate combat test by pitting the 5 humans against a full Korvoxy assault squad. This assessment typically pushes seasoned instructors to their absolute limits, 12 Korvoxy warriors advancing in perfect formation, their disciplined coordination overwhelming opponents through sheer precision and synchronized movement. The expectation was straightforward. Observe how cadets respond to overwhelming force from a highly trained military unit that follows established combat doctrines without deviation. The Korvoxy moved forward with mechanical precision, their armored forms creating an impenetrable wall of disciplined aggression. They expected the humans to either break formation under pressure or attempt a conventional counterattack. Instead, the 5 cadets responded by transforming the confrontation into a living demonstration of many minds working as one unified purpose. Their approach focused not on matching force with force but on understanding the Korvoxy's patterns and redirecting their momentum against them. Tara Banks positioned herself to intercept the lead warriors while simultaneously coordinating her teammates through clear, calm commands. She didn't just fight. She processed the entire battlefield, identifying weaknesses and opportunities in real time. Marcus Webb demonstrated remarkable ability to redirect attacks, using the Korvoxy's own momentum to create openings for his team rather than meeting their strength directly. His movements looked almost conversational, as if he were having a physical dialogue with the opposing warriors. Elena Vasquez administered combat stimulants to enhance the entire team's sensory perception and reaction speed simultaneously. This wasn't individual enhancement but collective optimization. Every human's capabilities elevated in perfect synchronization. Devon Cross moved through the battle like he was solving a 3-dimensional puzzle, identifying structural weaknesses in the Korvoxy formation and exploiting them with surgical precision. Jake Turner's communication skills became a tactical weapon as he interpreted enemy commands and disrupted their coordination through well-timed interventions. The Korvoxy formation didn't collapse from external destruction, but from internal confusion and redirected momentum. The humans operated like a single entity with 5 specialized components, each action complementing the others without need for explicit commands. Their synchronized movements created patterns the Korvoxy couldn't anticipate or counter effectively. The warriors found themselves attacking empty spaces where humans had been moments before, their disciplined strikes meeting only air while simultaneous counterattacks came from unexpected angles. This victory represented more than combat proficiency. It revealed an entirely new warfare paradigm. The humans demonstrated that synchronization itself could overwhelm even the most disciplined opposition when properly coordinated. Their approach rendered traditional military formations and individual combat prowess less relevant against perfectly integrated team tactics. The assessment showed that understanding and redirecting opposition could be more effective than simply attempting to destroy it through superior force. The implications extend beyond this single engagement. If human coordination can dismantle a Korvoxy assault squad through strategic redirection rather than direct confrontation, then existing military doctrines require complete reevaluation. The galaxy has prioritized individual skill and formation discipline, but humanity demonstrates that collective intelligence and adaptive coordination might represent a more powerful approach to conflict resolution. This combat test didn't just measure 5 cadets, it challenged centuries of established tactical thinking. The human cadet's combat style didn't just impress the Korvoxy leader, it resonated at a much deeper level with him. Thra Ironscale observed their movements with growing recognition, realizing he was witnessing something thought lost to history. When the battle concluded, he approached them not with frustration, but with what could only be described as professional respect. His words carried unexpected weight. "You fight like the ancient war packs, many minds, one purpose." This wasn't casual praise. It represented validation from a warrior who understood combat at its most fundamental level. This acknowledgement functions as wisdom transfer between predators, an unspoken recognition that human coordination aligns with ancient, proven principles of warfare. The approach the humans demonstrated wasn't innovative in the sense of being new. It was a rediscovery of timeless strategic wisdom that galactic civilization had gradually forgotten in favor of individual specialization and technological superiority. The ancient warpacks reference points toward a period in galactic history when collective action and perfect synchronization determined survival, rather than individual weaponry or armor. This style of combat had been preserved only in historical, texts and cultural memory, considered obsolete in modern warfare dominated by advanced technology and individualized combat training. The humans, operating without preconceived notions of proper galactic combat, inadvertently revived an approach that balanced individual skill with group cohesion in ways modern tactics had abandoned. Their performance demonstrated that some principles remain effective regardless of technological advancement or changing combat doctrines. The resolution of this combat test extends beyond mere victory. The humans proved that ancient ways of war retain devastating effectiveness even against modern military formations. Their coordinated approach overwhelmed warriors who expected conventional tactics, demonstrating that synchronization and shared purpose can neutralize advantages in training, equipment, or numerical superiority. This realization forces reevaluation of what constitutes effective combat strategy in contemporary galactic conflicts. This moment becomes a watershed event in how the galactic community perceives human capabilities. The conversation shifts from concern about a dangerous anomaly to admiration for a demonstrated model of effectiveness. Observers begin understanding that humanity's strength lies not in unpredictability, but in rediscovering proven principles that others have forgotten. The assessment transforms from measuring human capability to learning from human methodology. The implications extend beyond military applications. If ancient strategic principles remain relevant in modern combat, they might also apply to other complex challenges facing galactic society. The human demonstration suggests that some solutions aren't found through innovation alone, but through remembering what already worked in the past. This perspective could influence approaches to diplomacy, crisis management, and even scientific collaboration across species boundaries. ARA Iron Scales recognition carries particular significance because it comes from a warrior culture that values combat effectiveness above nearly all else. His approval signals that human tactics meet the highest standards of martial excellence, not as an exotic novelty, but as a return to fundamental principles. This validation from an established military power shifts the conversation from theoretical discussion to practical acceptance of human approaches as legitimate and effective. The human's victory becomes more than a successful test completion. It represents a rediscovery of something ancient and powerful. Their performance suggests that galactic civilization might have lost as much as it gained through technological advancement and specialization. Sometimes progress involves remembering what worked before, not just inventing something new. This realization opens possibilities for integrating ancient wisdom with modern capabilities across multiple domains. What could humanity accomplish if we fully realized our collaborative potential? If 5 cadets can orchestrate such perfect synchrony against a disciplined alien war machine, imagine applying that coordinated approach at species-scale levels. Our collective genius could address galactic-scale problems that have baffled other civilizations for millennia. Issues like quantum entanglement communication barriers, dimensional instability and jump routes, or ecological restoration of war-torn worlds. The same principles that allowed seamless teamwork against the Korvoxy assault squad might unlock solutions to challenges that have resisted individualistic approaches for centuries. Scientific research initiatives could undergo complete transformation under human coordination methods. Multi-species research teams often struggle with communication barriers and conflicting methodologies, but human-style collaboration could create integrated approaches that leverage diverse perspectives without friction. Imagine research vessels, where scientists from different species function like those 5 cadets, sharing insights instantaneously, covering knowledge gaps collectively, and approaching problems with unified purpose. Breakthroughs that required decades of isolated work might emerge through coordinated effort in far shorter time frames. Diplomatic initiatives stand to gain significantly from human approaches to coordination. Interspecies negotiations often stall over cultural misunderstandings or competing priorities, but human mediation could foster environments where multiple parties work toward mutually beneficial solutions. Our ability to maintain multiple perspectives simultaneously while seeking common ground could resolve conflicts that have persisted for generations. Diplomatic corps might adopt human techniques for building consensus and creating frameworks where diverse interests align toward shared objectives. Cultural exchanges could evolve beyond superficial interactions into deep collaborative ventures. Instead of simply sharing art or traditions, species might co-create cultural works that blend diverse perspectives into something entirely new. Human coordination methods could facilitate artistic collaborations, educational programs, and social initiatives that build genuine understanding across species boundaries. This approach might achieve the interstellar cultural integration that previous efforts only approximated. This isn't just about being better fighters or more efficient workers. It's about becoming better problem solvers across all domains. The same cognitive architecture that enables perfect battlefield coordination could revolutionize how galactic society approaches engineering challenges, environmental management, and even philosophical questions. Human thinking patterns appear optimized for integrating diverse information streams and finding patterns that others miss when working in isolation. Galactic challenges that require multi-species coordination may find their solution in human leadership approaches. Crises like nebular instability events, refugee resettlement operations, or cross-species pandemic responses demand perfect synchronization across multiple organizations and species. Human methods for maintaining clear communication, distributing tasks effectively, and adapting to changing circumstances could transform how these complex operations are managed. Our leadership style might become the standard for handling situations that exceed any single species' capabilities. Humanity's true potential lies in illuminating collaboration as a fundamental strength, encouraging bold experimentation through shared risk and building instinctive trust in teamwork dynamics. We demonstrate that progress often emerges not from individual brilliance, but from coordinated effort toward common goals. This perspective could shift galactic civilization from competition toward collaboration as the primary engine of advancement. The future shifts from uncertainty about where humans belong in galactic society to anticipation of what we might achieve together with other species. Our role transforms from being measured against existing standards to helping establish new paradigms for collective achievement. This represents not just human advancement but galactic evolution toward more effective ways of addressing complex challenges through perfect coordination and shared purpose. The Thanok Prime Alpha's purring represents something far deeper than individual approval. It signifies species-level recognition. This sound hasn't been heard in over 2 millennia, making its sudden reappearance historically significant. The creature's vocalization carries weight beyond mere acknowledgement, echoing through the courtyard as a profound validation of humanity's collective approach. This isn't just about 5 cadets passing a test. It's about the galaxy's most ancient judge of potential, confirming that humanity operates on principles worth recognizing. The Predator's continued approval suggests our methods align with timeless predatory wisdom. The Thanok Prime Alpha evaluates beings based on criteria refined over centuries, seeking qualities that match its own apex status. Its purring indicates that human coordination and collaborative problem-solving resonate with fundamental principles of effectiveness that transcend species boundaries. This connection to ancient recognition systems validates our approach as something more than novel. It positions human teamwork as a natural law of successful interaction. This auditory signature becomes symbolic of humanity's accepted place among galactic apex species. The purring functions as both acknowledgement and invitation, signaling that we've demonstrated capabilities that place us alongside beings previously considered our superiors. This sound represents the breaking of old categories and the establishment of new understandings about where humans belong in the interstellar hierarchy. It marks a shift from being assessed to being recognized as peers. The historical context amplifies the significance of this moment. Historical records indicate the last being to receive such recognition achieved extraordinary feats, uniting multiple galactic arms and repelling an intergalactic invasion. This parallel suggests humanity's ascent has only just begun, rather than reaching its culmination. The purring becomes not an endpoint, but a starting point for what humans might accomplish when operating with full recognition of our capabilities. This moment confirms that humanity has rediscovered ancient ways of collective power that the galaxy had largely forgotten. Our collaborative approaches aren't innovative in the sense of being new. They're a return to proven principles that modern galactic society had gradually abandoned in favor of individual specialization. The Predator's approval validates that some solutions require not technological advancement, but remembering what already worked in the past. The galaxy must now learn to accommodate a species that operates on these rediscovered principles. Existing systems designed around individual performance metrics and species-specific capabilities require adaptation to account for human collaborative intelligence. This accommodation involves rethinking military training, scientific collaboration, diplomatic negotiation, and crisis response protocols to incorporate the strengths that human coordination offers. The purring heard across stars becomes more than a sound. It transforms into a symbol of shifting paradigms. It represents the moment galactic society began recognizing that collective intelligence might offer solutions to challenges that have resisted individualistic approaches for centuries. This auditory marker signals the beginning of a new chapter in interstellar relations, one where human approaches to coordination and problem-solving become integrated into how the galaxy addresses complex challenges. This recognition creates both opportunity and responsibility for humanity. We gain the chance to contribute meaningfully to galactic development through our distinctive strengths, while also facing the challenge of applying those capabilities responsibly. The purring marks our transition from blending in to standing out, from following protocols to helping establish new paradigms for effective collective action across species boundaries. The human victory against the Korvoxy assault squad revealed something deeper about coordinated teamwork. Their success demonstrated that synchronization itself functions as a decisive weapon in combat scenarios. This approach makes traditional military formations and individual combat skills less critical when facing perfectly integrated team tactics. The humans didn't win through superior firepower or physical strength. They prevailed through flawless coordination that turned opposition strength into vulnerability. Terra Banks positioned herself to intercept the lead warriors while simultaneously harmonizing her team's movements through precise verbal commands and calculations. She processed multiple data streams simultaneously, enemy positioning, teammate status, environmental factors, and translated them into coordinated actions. Her instructions weren't just orders, but synchronized updates that maintained shared situational awareness across all 5 humans. This real-time coordination created emergent capabilities that no individual could achieve alone. Marcus Webb employed momentum-based tactics that leveraged the Korvoxy's own strength against them. Instead of meeting their attacks with counterforce, he redirected their energy to create openings for his teammates. His movements appeared almost conversational, as if he were engaging in physical dialogue with the opposing warriors. This approach conserved team energy while maximizing the effectiveness of each intervention. He transformed aggressive attacks into opportunities rather than threats through precise redirection. Elena Vasquez administered combat stimulants that sharpened the entire team's senses simultaneously. Her interventions weren't random enhancements, but carefully timed optimizations tailored to specific combat requirements. She monitored everyone's biometrics continuously, adjusting dosages to maintain peak performance without crossing into dangerous overstimulation. This shared physiological enhancement created temporary but powerful advantages during critical moments, allowing coordinated responses that would otherwise be impossible. Devon Cross moved through the battlefield like he was solving a 3-dimensional puzzle. He analyzed the structural integrity of the Korvoxy formation, identifying weak points and stress factors that others missed. His engineering mindset treated combat as a systemic challenge rather than a series of individual engagements. He often bypassed direct confrontation altogether by disabling supporting systems or creating cascading failures within the enemy formation. Jake Turner's communication skills made enemy movements legible to the entire team. He interpreted Korvoxy command signals and tactical patterns, translating them into actionable intelligence for his teammates. His linguistic abilities allowed him to introduce confusion into enemy ranks through well-timed countercommands or deceptive signals. This turned communication into a tactical weapon that amplified the team's coordinated effectiveness. This combat demonstration represents more than a simple victory. It signifies a complete redefinition of effective military methodology. The humans showed that understanding and redirecting opposition can be more effective than attempting to overpower it through conventional means. Their approach suggests that future combat effectiveness might depend less on individual weapon skills and more on collaborative intelligence and perfect synchronization. The implications extend beyond this single engagement. If coordinated teamwork can dismantle a disciplined assault squad through strategic redirection rather than direct confrontation, then existing military doctrines require fundamental re-evaluation. The galaxy has prioritized individual excellence and technological superiority, but humanity demonstrates that collective intelligence and adaptive coordination might represent a more powerful approach to conflict resolution. This tactical paradigm shift suggests that some solutions aren't found through innovation alone but through rediscovering proven principles of coordinated action. The human performance indicates that galactic combat theory might have overlooked the strategic value of perfect synchronization in favor of individual capability metrics. Their victory opens new possibilities for integrating ancient wisdom with modern military science across multiple domains of engagement. This victory transformed galactic perceptions of humanity because it shifted the conversation from fear about a dangerous anomaly to genuine admiration for a new model of capability. Observers realized our potential lies not in individual excellence but in collective genius, the ability to function as a coordinated whole that exceeds the sum of its parts. The combat demonstration revealed that synchronized teamwork could achieve what individual prowess and technological superiority alone could not, fundamentally altering how galactic society views human contributions to security and problem-solving. Director Kaff's formal assessment conclusion marked procedural acceptance of this transformative event. His official report acknowledged that previous evaluation frameworks had completely misunderstood human capabilities, necessitating a complete overhaul of assessment protocols. The report specifically cited the need to develop new metrics for measuring collaborative intelligence and distributed problem-solving. This institutional acknowledgement represented more than just recognizing 5 exceptional cadets. It signaled a paradigm shift in how the Academy would evaluate all species moving forward. The humans' casual post-battle chatter revealed their newfound ease with galactic-scale consequences. They discussed the engagement like it had been nothing more than a particularly interesting class exercise, analyzing tactics and suggesting improvements without apparent awareness of the historic significance. This relaxed approach to what others viewed as a monumental achievement demonstrated that humanity operates with a different perspective on challenge and accomplishment. Their focus remained on learning and refinement rather than celebration or self-congratulation. This moment represents the point where humanity stops being underestimated and starts being respected as a significant force in galactic affairs. The combination of apex predator recognition, labyrinth performance, and combat demonstration created an undeniable pattern of capability that could no longer be dismissed as anomaly or luck. Galactic leadership began viewing humans not as potential assets to be managed, but as inevitable partners in addressing complex challenges. This shift in perception opened doors for human involvement in projects and decisions previously considered beyond our scope. The narrative underscores that humanity's resilience and creativity, when properly organized, can redefine established power structures. Our strength doesn't come from overwhelming force or technological dominance, but from our ability to coordinate multiple minds towards single objectives with perfect synchronization. This approach challenges the galactic preference for individual excellence in specialized roles, suggesting that collective intelligence might offer solutions to problems that have resisted conventional approaches for centuries. The real education about human potential has only just begun. The Academy now faces the challenge of developing entirely new training methodologies that can nurture and develop the collaborative capabilities demonstrated by the 5 cadets. This requires creating environments where teamwork and shared problem-solving can flourish, rather than focusing exclusively on individual skill development. The institution must also determine how to integrate human approaches with existing systems without diminishing their effectiveness or creating organizational conflict. This watershed moment extends beyond military applications to influence scientific collaboration, diplomatic initiatives, and crisis response protocols. The recognition that collective intelligence represents an underutilized resource across multiple domains prompts re-evaluation of how galactic society approaches complex challenges. Humanity's demonstration suggests that some solutions require not just better technology or smarter individuals, but more effective ways of coordinating diverse capabilities toward common goals. The implications will likely influence interstellar relations for generations, establishing humanity not as a threat to be contained, but as a catalyst for positive change. Our approach to challenges, emphasizing understanding, coordination, and strategic redirection, offers new possibilities for resolving conflicts and addressing galactic-scale problems. This represents not just a shift in human status, but an expansion of what's considered possible when beings work together with perfect synchronization and shared purpose. The 5 marked cadets represent something far greater than individual achievement. They symbolize species-level capability acknowledgement. This isn't just about 5 exceptional humans receiving recognition. It signifies that humanity as a whole possesses qualities the galaxy now recognizes as valuable and rare. The apex predator's approval extends beyond these individuals to acknowledge inherent traits in our species that previous assessments completely missed. Galactic High Command must immediately reconsider humanity's position within defense hierarchies and strategic planning frameworks. Military leaders now recognize that human coordination capabilities could redefine how galactic security operations function. Strategic planning sessions now include discussions about how to integrate human collaborative approaches into existing command structures. Defense protocols that previously emphasized individual species specialization now must account for cross-species coordination, models inspired by human demonstrations. Our species' unique traits, particularly teamwork and rapid adaptability, become recognized as foundational for leadership roles. Military academies traditionally valued individual combat prowess and tactical genius, but human success demonstrates that collective intelligence might offer superior results. Leadership training programs begin incorporating team coordination exercises that emphasize shared situational awareness and distributed decision-making. The very definition of effective leadership shifts from individual command capability to fostering collaborative effectiveness. The old categorization systems collapse under the weight of demonstrated collaborative capability. Species classification databases that previously ranked humanity as moderately capable require complete overhaul. Assessment protocols designed to measure individual performance across standardized metrics become obsolete when faced with capabilities that only emerge through group interaction. The galactic community realizes that their evaluation frameworks measured only what individuals could do alone, completely missing what humans can achieve together. Future galactic conflicts and alliances will now factor in human coordination as a decisive element. Military strategists analyze how human-style teamwork could alter battle outcomes against traditional threats. Diplomatic corps consider how human mediation approaches might resolve long-standing interspecies disputes. Scientific collaborative projects explore how human coordination methods could accelerate research breakthroughs. Every domain of galactic interaction now must account for this previously underestimated capability. Humanity transitions from being potential assets to becoming inevitable leaders in galactic security structures. Security Council appointments that previously excluded humans now actively seek our representatives. Crisis response teams incorporate human coordination specialists to improve their effectiveness. Military training programs adopt human-developed teamwork protocols to enhance their own forces' capabilities. This shift represents not just recognition but necessity. The galaxy now understands that certain challenges require human approaches to solve. This recalibration of assumptions opens unprecedented opportunities for human influence. Across all galactic institutions, scientific research initiatives welcome human collaborators for their problem-solving methodologies. Diplomatic missions include human mediators to facilitate complex multi-species negotiations. Cultural exchange programs prioritize human participation to study our coordination techniques. The shift extends beyond military applications to influence how galactic society approaches all forms of collaborative endeavor. The metamorphosis in perception creates new responsibilities alongside opportunities. Humanity must now develop frameworks for sharing our collaborative approaches without overwhelming existing systems. We face the challenge of integrating our methods with established protocols while maintaining their effectiveness. This requires careful navigation of galactic politics, and cultural sensitivities while demonstrating the value of our distinctive capabilities. This power dynamic shift represents more than just improved status. It signals a fundamental change in how galactic society values different capabilities. Traits previously considered secondary now take center stage, while individual excellence becomes viewed as just one component of overall effectiveness. The recognition that collective intelligence can achieve what individual brilliance cannot reshapes priorities across multiple domains, creating space for humanity's distinctive strengths to flourish and influence galactic development for generations to come. What happens when humanity stops pretending to be something we're not? For centuries, our species may have deliberately concealed our true collaborative capabilities to avoid threatening established galactic powers. We presented ourselves as competent but unexceptional, following protocols and blending into interstellar society without drawing undue attention. This strategic concealment allowed us to observe, learn, and integrate while maintaining our distinct strengths hidden from external evaluation. The approach wasn't deception, it was a survival strategy perfected through our evolutionary history. The apex predators, recognition, and subsequent demonstrations forced an end to this strategic concealment. Once the Thenok Prime Alpha identified our capabilities and the combat assessments revealed our coordinated prowess, the pretense became impossible to maintain. The galaxy now sees what we can achieve when operating without the filters and constraints we typically impose on ourselves. This represents both liberation and challenge. We can no longer hide our capabilities, nor can we avoid the leadership responsibilities that come with recognized potential. Our species can now operate openly, using our natural strengths of coordination and adaptive problem-solving. This transition means employing collaborative approaches without moderating them for external consumption. We can demonstrate how multiple minds working toward single purposes can achieve results that individual excellence alone cannot match. This openness allows us to contribute more effectively to galactic challenges while remaining true to our inherent capabilities, rather than conforming to external expectations. This shift represents both opportunity and responsibility in equal measure. We gain the chance to influence galactic development through our distinctive approaches to problem-solving and coordination. Simultaneously, we must navigate the expectations and scrutiny that come with demonstrated capability. We can no longer avoid leadership roles or strategic influence, now that our potential is recognized and valued across multiple domains. This requires developing frameworks for responsible application of our strengths without overwhelming existing systems or creating unintended consequences. The galaxy must now accommodate a species that operates fundamentally differently than others. Existing protocols, assessment methods, and organizational structures were designed around individual performance metrics and species-specific capabilities. Human collaborative intelligence requires adapting these systems to account for emergent properties that only manifest through group interaction. This accommodation involves rethinking everything from military training to scientific collaboration to diplomatic negotiation. Humanity's ascent begins not through conquest or domination, but through demonstrated exceptional capability and coordination. Our influence expands because we offer something valuable that other species recognize as necessary for addressing complex galactic challenges. This organic growth of influence stems from proven effectiveness rather than aggressive expansion, creating a more stable foundation for long-term integration into galactic leadership structures. The implications extend beyond military matters to cultural, scientific, and diplomatic realms. Our collaborative approaches could transform how research projects are organized, how cultural exchanges are structured, and how diplomatic negotiations are conducted. The recognition that collective intelligence offers unique advantages might lead to broader adoption of human-inspired methodologies across multiple domains. This represents an opportunity to contribute to galactic progress through sharing our distinctive strengths rather than conforming to established patterns. This transition from concealed capability to open demonstration marks a new chapter in human-galactic relations. We move from being perceived as just another species to being recognized as valuable contributors with unique approaches to complex challenges. This shift requires careful navigation to ensure our integration proceeds smoothly and our capabilities are applied responsibly. The future holds promise for greater human involvement in shaping galactic development across all areas of endeavor. Why does the real education only begin after such dramatic demonstrations? Because the Academy and galactic community now face their greatest challenge: understanding something they never prepared for. The 5 marked humans didn't just pass tests. They revealed capabilities that existing systems can't measure or contain. This forces complete reimagining of training methods, assessment protocols, and even basic assumptions about how species function. Traditional approaches designed for individual performance and linear thinking patterns must give way to new frameworks that account for collaborative intelligence and distributed problem-solving. Humanity itself must learn how to properly harness and direct these collective capabilities at scale. We've demonstrated potential, but now we need to develop the wisdom to apply it effectively across galactic contexts. This involves refining our coordination skills, understanding when to deploy collaborative approaches, and learning to integrate our methods with existing systems without diminishing their effectiveness. The challenge isn't just about being capable, it's about becoming responsible stewards of capabilities that could reshape interstellar relations. This situation creates a unique mutual education process. Humans learn about galactic structures, protocols, and expectations while the galaxy learns about human potential and collaborative approaches. We study their systems and traditions while they study our methods and mindsets. This exchange goes beyond simple knowledge transfer. It represents cultural and cognitive integration that could produce entirely new ways of addressing challenges. Both sides must remain open to adapting and evolving through this shared learning experience. The 5 marked cadets become both students and instructors in this new educational paradigm. They continue their training while also helping develop new assessment methodologies that can properly measure collaborative capabilities. Their experiences in the labyrinth and combat demonstrations provide valuable insights into how human coordination functions under pressure. They serve as living examples of what's possible when beings operate with perfect synchronization and shared purpose. Academy leadership recognizes they must facilitate this learning process rather than attempting to force humans into existing molds. This requires creating training environments that nurture collaborative skills rather than focusing exclusively on individual development. The curriculum must incorporate team-based challenges that allow human capabilities to emerge naturally, while also helping other species understand and appreciate our approaches. This represents education as partnership rather than instruction. The story's closing invitation suggests we're witnessing just the beginning of humanity's galactic education journey. What we've seen so far represents initial demonstrations rather than fully realized potential. The real learning involves understanding how to apply our capabilities across diverse situations: scientific research, diplomatic missions, crisis response, and cultural exchange. Each new challenge provides opportunities to refine our methods and deepen our integration into galactic society. What comes next could reshape the entire galactic order for millennia. As humans learn to apply our collaborative approaches more effectively, we might help solve problems that have resisted solution for centuries. Our methods could influence how multiple species work together, how conflicts get resolved, and how progress gets achieved across interstellar civilization. The education process itself becomes the foundation for new ways of thinking and operating that benefit everyone involved. This educational transition represents more than curriculum changes. It signals evolution in how galactic society develops and utilizes capabilities. The focus shifts from measuring what individuals can do alone to understanding what beings can achieve together. This perspective could unlock potential across multiple species, creating opportunities for advancement that previous educational models might have overlooked. The real education has only just begun, and its outcomes might surprise everyone involved. Humanity's strength isn't about being the strongest or smartest individually. It's how we bring many minds together toward a single purpose. The galaxy saw teamwork become our greatest asset, transforming challenges into opportunities through shared understanding. Subscribe for more stories exploring how human collaboration might reshape galactic futures. What we achieve together always surpasses what we can do alone. Somewhere beyond the stars, that deep purring continues, a timeless acknowledgement that humanity's journey has only just begun. Our collective potential remains the true frontier waiting to be explored. Imagine the galaxy's most feared predator scanning hundreds of cadets from dozens of species, only to ignore them all and walk directly toward 5 humans. This isn't a survival test anymore. The Thanok Prime Alpha, a creature that reads fears and feeds on panic, approaches them not as prey but as equals. What happens next has never occurred in over 2 millennia of testing. The predator lowers its head and offers its razor-sharp fangs, waiting. This moment will redefine humanity's place in the galactic order forever. The Galactic Defense Academy uses what you might call the ultimate final exam. They don't give you a written test or a simulation. They bring in a living apex predator, one of the most feared creatures in known space. This isn't about seeing if you can survive. It's about finding who has that rare spark of potential that separates good officers from legendary ones. Instructor Vex Moranis has watched this ritual play out year after year. He's seen Zephyrian cadets freeze completely when the creature approaches, their tri-jointed limbs locking in instinctive terror. Ketran candidates typically emit subsonic distress calls before collapsing into protective balls. Forlac youth often activate their defensive camouflage only to have the predator detect their racing heartbeats anyway. The results are always the same: fear, panic, and sometimes trauma. What most cadets don't understand is that this test operates on multiple levels. The predator isn't just measuring courage or combat readiness. It's scanning for something far more subtle, that emergent quality of greatness that can't be taught or trained. The creature's purpose goes beyond simple evaluation. It identifies those rare individuals who possess the innate capacity to become true leaders and change-makers in galactic society. The atmosphere in the courtyard becomes electric when the predator arrives. You can feel the tension in the air as cadets from 24 species stand frozen in formation. Some tremble visibly while others attempt to project false confidence. The air carries the scent of alien pheromones. Fear signals from multiple biological systems, creating a cocktail of primal anxiety. This moment represents the ultimate judgment in their culture, a being that can see past all pretenses and directly measure worth. The Thanok Prime Alpha moves through the lines with deliberate precision. Its 6 legs move with unsettling grace as it passes before each candidate. You can see its sensory organs actively scanning, processing, assessing. It pauses occasionally before certain cadets, sometimes for just a second longer as if considering something. Then it moves on, leaving relieved or disappointed individuals in its wake. This creature represents the highest standard of measurement in their society. Its approval means more than any test score or performance evaluation. To be recognized by the Thanok Prime Alpha means you've been marked as someone who could shape the future of galactic civilization. Its assessment carries weight that echoes through careers and legacies. But this particular year, something different happens when the predator reaches a group of 5 human cadets standing together. The creature doesn't just pause briefly as it did with others. It stops completely, its entire attention focusing on these 5 individuals. The usual patterns of behavior change in that moment. Instead of the quick scan and move-on approach, it engages in a deeper assessment that hasn't been observed in previous testing cycles. What if the instrument of testing itself was a living nightmare? The Thanok Prime Alpha stands 12 feet tall on 6 articulated legs that end in razor-sharp points capable of piercing armored plating. Its skin doesn't maintain a single color, but shifts continuously between deep black and dark purple, creating a hypnotic effect that unsettles observers. The creature moves with an eerie silence that contradicts its massive size, each step perfectly calculated and controlled. This predator possesses physical capabilities that seem ripped from horror stories. Its teeth can slice through battleship-grade alloys, yet it demonstrates precise control over that destructive power. More frightening than its physical attributes are its psychic abilities. The Thanok Prime Alpha reads emotional states directly from neural patterns, detecting fear, courage, and potential with equal clarity. It doesn't just sense emotions, it feeds on panic, drawing energy from the terror it inspires in its subjects. The creature's assessment method follows a precise pattern. It moves systematically through the ranks of cadets, pausing before each individual for exactly 3 seconds. During that time, it conducts a deep psychic scan that measures multiple factors simultaneously. It reads baseline fear responses, evaluates emotional control under pressure, and searches for that rare spark of emergent greatness that indicates extraordinary potential. The scan isn't superficial. It reaches into subconscious patterns and latent capabilities that even the cadets themselves might not recognize. This selection process follows specific criteria that have been refined over centuries. The predator recognizes qualities that mirror its own apex status: mental resilience, strategic thinking under pressure, and that intangible capacity for leadership that transcends species boundaries. Its choices aren't random or arbitrary. Each selection represents a careful evaluation of whether an individual possesses the raw material to eventually operate at the highest levels of galactic society. The creature seeks those rare beings who could potentially stand as equals rather than subordinates or prey. As it moves through the courtyard, you can watch the pattern of reactions unfold. Xylosian cadets typically emit high-frequency distress calls before collapsing into protective spheres. The reptilian Cathar often display aggressive posturing that quickly crumbles into retreat postures when the predator's psychic presence overwhelms their neural defenses. Even the typically stoic vulpine species show clear signs of physiological stress. Their ear tufts flatten against their skulls while their tail bristles stand fully erect. The responses follow predictable, species-specific patterns that the instructors have documented. Over many testing cycles, the true purpose of this ritual becomes clear when you understand what the predator actually seeks. It isn't looking for the strongest or the bravest in conventional terms. It identifies individuals who possess that rare combination of qualities that could eventually operate at its own level of capability. The creature serves as the ultimate gatekeeper for entry into the highest echelons of galactic leadership. Those it recognizes gain opportunities and responsibilities that reshape their entire future trajectory. Then the pattern breaks completely when the predator reaches the 5 human cadets. Instead of the usual 3-second scan and move-on pattern, it stops completely. The creature's skin coloration shifts more rapidly, cycling through shades of purple and black at twice the normal rate. Its psychic presence intensifies noticeably, creating a tangible pressure that even observers at a distance can feel. The normal rhythm of the assessment changes in that moment, signaling that something unprecedented is about to occur. While species from across known space displayed textbook fear responses, the trembling limbs, the defensive postures, the instinctive retreat mechanisms, 5 human cadets stood completely still. Tara Banks maintained perfect posture, her eyes tracking the predator's movements with analytical precision. Marcus Webb showed no visible stress, his breathing steady as he observed the creature's biomechanics. Elena Vasquez actually leaned slightly forward, her expression showing curiosity rather than fear. Devon Cross remained relaxed, his hands loose at his sides while he studied the predator's shifting skin patterns. Jake Turner stood with quiet confidence, his gaze meeting the creatures directly without challenge or submission. Their composure created immediate confusion among the instructors monitoring the assessment. Instructor Vex Moranis checked his bioscanners twice, expecting to find malfunctioning equipment. The human's physiological readings showed elevated but controlled heart rates, increased cortisol levels that indicated alertness rather than panic, and neural patterns that suggested intense focus instead of terror. This contradicted every previous testing session and every species profile in the Academy's database. The predator itself seemed to hesitate, its normal scanning rhythm disrupted by the unexpected psychological profiles it encountered. Where other species reacted with hardwired biological responses perfected by evolution, the humans approached the situation with what appeared to be conscious analytical processing. Instead of triggering fight-or-flight mechanisms, they engaged observational and cognitive functions. You could see them making subtle calculations, assessing the creature's movements, and even exchanging brief glances that conveyed unspoken information. Their approach suggested they viewed the apex predator not as an immediate threat but as a complex phenomenon worth understanding. The Academy leadership now faces a conceptual crisis they're completely unprepared to handle. Their assessment frameworks, training methodologies, and even their understanding of interspecies dynamics all assume capabilities correlate with visible demonstration. Humans operate on a different paradigm, where visible demonstration represents only what we choose to show, rather than what we can actually achieve. This requires developing entirely new evaluation criteria that account for strategic concealment as a valid capability. Rather than viewing it as deception or weakness, administrators must now question whether other species might employ similar strategies, how to detect concealed capabilities, and what this means for galactic security protocols. The very foundations of their assessment philosophy require rebuilding from first principles. This isn't just about understanding 5 cadets. It's about developing completely new models for evaluating species that don't follow established patterns of capability demonstration. The challenge extends beyond military assessment into diplomatic relations, scientific collaboration, and even cultural exchange programs. The 5 humans faced the Corvani Labyrinth simulation next, an assessment specifically designed to break individuals through psychological isolation. Standard protocol required cadets to enter alone, facing personalized nightmare scenarios tailored to their deepest fears and insecurities. Completion times typically ranged from 3 to 8 hours, with most cadets emerging psychologically shaken, but technically victorious. The simulation's entire design philosophy centered on forcing individuals to confront their limitations without external support, measuring how they performed under absolute solitary pressure. Humanity's approach immediately broke the fundamental premise of the test. Instead of entering individually as required, the 5 cadets formed a cohesive unit and stepped into the labyrinth together. The system initially attempted to separate them into individual nightmare chambers as programmed, but the humans maintained physical contact and verbal communication, creating a continuous feedback loop that the isolation protocols couldn't breach. Their collective presence essentially broke the simulation's core functionality. You could see their collaborative problem-solving approach unfold in real time. The labyrinth's psychological traps, designed to exploit individual vulnerabilities, became ineffective against a coordinated team. When one cadet encountered a fear scenario, another would immediately provide counter-narrative or tactical support. They shared information about environmental details, coordinated movement through shifting corridors, and even developed hand signals for silent communication when audio detection became a factor. Their teamwork rendered the isolation mechanisms completely useless. Director Kaff's reaction told the entire story. His facial expressions shifted from professional curiosity to genuine astonishment as the humans progressed through challenges that should have taken hours in mere minutes. He kept checking the monitoring equipment, assuming technical malfunctions, but the data stream showed 5 distinct biosignatures operating in perfect coordination. His expression settled into what observers later described as frightened awe, the realization that these results weren't anomalies but demonstrations of capability decades ahead of current models. The team completed the entire labyrinth in 37 minutes, shattering the previous record by multiple hours. They emerged not as traumatized individuals but as a coherent unit, already discussing tactical improvements and procedural observations. Their psychological profiles showed minimal stress impact and maximum cognitive engagement throughout the experience. The assessment computers flagged the results as statistical impossibilities based on all existing performance models. This performance demonstrated that human psychological architecture operates fundamentally differently than anything in galactic databases. Where other species develop individual resilience mechanisms, humans appear to have evolved collaborative coping strategies. Their minds don't just withstand pressure individually. They distribute cognitive loads across multiple individuals, creating a collective problem-solving capacity that exceeds the sum of its parts. This represents a completely different evolutionary pathway than previously documented in spacefaring species. The implications extend beyond assessment protocols. If humans naturally operate through distributed cognition and collaborative problem-solving, then existing training methods, military doctrines, and even social structures might require complete reevaluation. The galaxy has been designing systems for individual excellence within species-specific parameters. Humanity demonstrates that some species might achieve superior results through collective intelligence approaches that current systems cannot properly measure or facilitate. This labyrinth performance, combined with the predator assessment results, establishes a pattern that cannot be ignored. Humanity's capabilities don't fit existing categorization models, because those models were built around individual performance metrics. Our strength appears to lie in how we coordinate multiple minds towards single objectives, a capability that existing assessment tools simply weren't designed to measure or understand. The existing psychological models that guided Galactic Defense Academy assessments operated on a fundamental assumption that stress responses follow predictable species-specific patterns. Every evaluation tool, from the labyrinth simulation to individual combat testing, was designed around measuring how beings perform when isolated and pressured. The framework categorized cadets based on individual resilience metrics, reaction times under duress, and capacity for solo problem-solving. These models had successfully assessed thousands of candidates across dozens of species for centuries, creating a comprehensive database of expected performance parameters. The human cadets immediately revealed the limitations of this individual-focused approach. Their ability to share information instantaneously, cover each other's psychological weak points, and reallocate duties in real time defied every established model. While one cadet analyzed environmental threats, another monitored team stress levels, a third maintained situational awareness, and others prepared contingency responses. This wasn't sequential task sharing, but simultaneous coordinated cognition that created emergent capabilities beyond individual limits. The assessment systems couldn't properly measure this because they were designed to track solitary performance metrics. Director Kauf acknowledged the profound implications, stating they had categorized humans incorrectly from the beginning. The recognition came from observing how the team's collaborative approach rendered standard isolation protocols ineffective. Where the labyrinth was designed to break individuals through personalized psychological pressure, the humans distributed that pressure across their entire team. Stress that would overwhelm a single being became manageable when shared and processed collectively. This represented not just better teamwork, but a fundamentally different cognitive architecture than anything previously documented. The assessment systems faced a measurement crisis. Performance metrics designed for individual evaluation couldn't capture the emergent properties of group cognition, shared situational awareness, distributed expertise, or adaptive coordination. The computers flagged the humans' results as statistical impossibilities because the algorithms only understood individual capability curves. The systems could measure 5 separate performances but couldn't quantify how those performances interacted to create something greater than their sum. This realization signals a paradigm shift across the entire institution. Emergency response teams and military units from other species show coordination patterns. But the human demonstration revealed something more profound, a capacity to function as a single coordinated entity rather than individuals working together. Their communication networks operated with such efficiency that information transfer became nearly instantaneous, creating shared mental models that allowed rapid adaptation to changing circumstances. This level of collaborative intelligence suggests that traditional individual assessments may completely miss a species' true potential when that potential lies in collective capability rather than individual excellence.